like he has value in this league, and the team is willing to trade for him. And honestly, up until trade deadline, I think Masai can just keep him and just wait for the right offer. Hello and welcome to the Wednesday, September 8th edition of the TV on Basketball Podcast with your host, TV. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Before we start, I do have to plug my other platforms. Remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other awesome content. If you're a YouTube member, to like, share, and subscribe. That would be highly appreciated, as well as hitting the notification bell so you won't miss an episode. And for all my podcast listeners, remember to subscribe and leave a review if you're an Apple. And for the Spotify, Anchor, and Podbean listeners, just show your support in any way you can. Share it, do whatever. I really do appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me and the show. I have an awesome show lined up for you guys today. We're going to be talking about some of the news that's happened around the NBA, including some trades, including this weird thing with Goran Dragic that's going on right now, and also two key signings for the Nets, which we're going to get into. But the big bulk of this podcast is going to be talking about potential Ben Simmons trades, because with the news that Ben Simmons is likely to get traded, he requested a trade now, and he says he's not even going to report to training camp. It's crazy, this whole Ben Simmons situation. So we're going to be definitely talking a lot about that. It's going to be a fantastic episode. Very excited to talk some ball. I know I delayed this episode a little bit to today, but I'm ready. I'm ready to talk some basketball. And just some great podcast ideas out for the next few weeks. Hopefully we're going to have a guest on next week to talk about something that's going to be happening later on this year. So it should be a really nice few weeks in terms of basketball content. I'm going to try to get back into the flow of things. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited. Let's get right into this episode. Because the first thing I do want to talk about is the Brooklyn Nets. And they added two more guys to their roster just in this past week. And one of them is someone who they already had last season, but due to some health reasons, some heart problems, he decided to retire mid-season. And that's LaMarcus Aldridge. He is coming back to the Brooklyn Nets. And not just him, they also brought in Paul Millsap to shore up some of that bench depth. Let's talk about Aldridge first, because I remember doing the podcast episode mid last season, and just out of nowhere, I think there were just these quick reports saying that LaMarcus Aldridge is considering retirement because of a health scare with his heart. I think his heart was had some irregular heartbeats and stuff like that. It's some scary stuff, and Aldridge was concerned to the point where he felt like he had to retire for the well-being of him and his family. So you knew it was that type of serious type of thing, and he just arrived at the Brooklyn Nets a few weeks prior to that. Getting some minutes off the bench, helping them, and him not being able to help them out throughout the rest of the season must have hurt him. He probably wanted to play some basketball. I think he only played 5 games for the Nets at the time, and because of the health scare, he wasn't able to help them out and actually play for the team that much, especially going to the playoffs. But now he's back. He feels like he's comfortable with his body now. He feels like he has that hard thing dealt with, and he is returning. And yes, Marcus Aldridge is past his prime. He's no longer that 20-10 guy that we are accustomed to seeing from, him on the Portland Trail Blazers, that defensive stalwart on the San Antonio Spurs, that all-star. He's no longer that. But him on the Brooklyn Nets gives him some good front court depth, along with getting rid of Jared. They still have Nicholas Claxton. They still got Blake Griffin. They're gonna go small a couple of times, and him running this the center position could be solid for them. Someone who's a smart defender, not really the most athletic, and can also hit down that consistent mid-range jumper, which is a good element to have if you're the Brooklyn Nets. Bringing back LaMarcus Aldridge, like I said, he's not gonna be a world beater. He's not gonna be a world beater. He only averaged 12 points in those 5 games with the Brooklyn Nets, but you can't lie, he's still a solid role player. He can give you. He's very good at free throws. Like I said, that mid-range jumper is killer. He'll be good for them. He's going to be a good pickup for them. And if they're able to stay healthy, he can provide some key minutes off the bench come the playoffs. Marcus Aldridge coming back to the Nets, very, very good signing for them. There was some news that he might have considered going to the Chicago Bulls, might have considered the Lakers, but he ultimately came back to the Nets, and it was a great pickup for them, so good for him. But the other player they picked up, and I was surprised this guy was on the market for as long as he did, but Paul Millsap, yes, Paul Millsap, along with Marcus Aldridge, I think it's like either the same day or the same week, or like a day after like one another. He signed with the Brooklyn Nets too, and the thing about Paul Millsap, I mean, same thing with Marcus Aldridge. You're not gonna get the best Paul Millsap ever. Let's be honest. You're not gonna get that all-star Paul Millsap from when he was with the Atlanta Hawks. And maybe you might not even get like early Denver Nuggets Paul Millsap giving you like 14 or 12 points a game. But even at 36 years of age, I think he's like a top 5 oldest player in the league at this point. He'll still give you smart defense. He's still going to give you someone who can like move around the ball, an okay rebounder. Like I said, a smart defender, someone who can occasionally hit the three-pointer and the mid-range jumper. He's going to be another good pickup. And if you, like I mentioned with Marcus Aldridge, the front court depth, especially after trading away DeAndre Jordan, it's kind of, I'm not going to say stacked, but it's deep. It's deep now because you got KD running the 4. Then you're obviously going to have Blake Griffin, maybe Nicholas Claxton running the center. So you got 3 guys there. You still got Marcus. You just brought in Sekou Doumbouya. Jahlil Okafor is back with the team. And, yeah, they got that. And also now adding Paul Millsap. I'm not saying, like I said, it's not like they're not like world beaters. These guys are not going to be, saying, oh, man, this is super deep. This is a stacked front court. But you all got bodies there. You got 6 guys there that can play some minutes. Obviously, not all of them are going to get minutes, but all of them are capable of playing some key minutes, whether in the playoffs or in the regular season, in the case of Sekou Doumbouya. But Paul Millsap here, he's just one of those guys who's just solid. Just a pure solid player. Played a key role, maybe not as much last year for the Denver Nuggets, but the year before definitely. He'll provide you some good offense. Obviously not the tallest guy standing at 6'7", but this guy just knows how to play the game. This guy's an extremely intelligent player, and I think he's gonna help out. Just fit in with the vibe with the Brooklyn Nets, and he's just gonna really help out that team a lot, along with Marcus Aldridge. So, although we are like closer to the NBA season, the Nets weren't done. The Nets were done, and they were able to pick up 2 front court pieces. That would definitely help out their team. I might keep mentioning this every time I talk about the Brooklyn Nets. Their thing now is like, look, they already have a good enough team to make it to the finals. They should be finals contenders in the East. They just got to stay healthy. And they understand their struggles from last year not having the right depth. They kind of are compensating for that now. Yes, they lost Uncle Jeff Green, but bringing in Paul Millsap, Marcus Aldridge, Doumbouya, which I'm going to talk about a bit more in the DeAndre Jordan trade, and also like Jahlil Okafor. At least they got some bodies there. So good signs for the Brooklyn Nets. Let's move on to that DeAndre Jordan trade though, because there were news earlier last week that DeAndre Jordan might be on the move from the Brooklyn Nets. And I'm not sure about you guys, but for me and some other NBA fans, I was kind of confused because I thought DeAndre Jordan was like one of Kyrie and Kevin Durant's boys. So trading him away, like, did that really make sense? I don't know. I mean, he wasn't really getting minutes for the Nets anyway, but I just didn't really see like why like they would trade him away like that. But they were able to get some value back. I mean, Jahlil Okafor, I believe it was a protected second or a protected first round pick, along with a young piece in Sekou Doumbouya. Getting those guys in exchange for DeAndre Jordan, who would ultimately get released by the Detroit Pistons, who the Nets traded him to, is not bad value. And they also got just again more depth added to their team. Sekou Doumbouya, everyone like loved some of the glimpses from him in his first season. Kind of like had reduced minutes in this season, but he still has some potential going for him. So maybe he could definitely maybe be a future piece for the Brooklyn Nets, especially it would help them a lot with some cost control. Someone who's there for at least another 2 years, and then maybe you can resign him after being a restricted free agent. That could definitely help them. I think that was not a bad player to get into return. And they also got Jahlil Okafor. I mean, last season averaging 5 points a game. He's not going to help much. He'll grab you a couple rebounds. He'll get you some points down in the post. That's about it. I mean, it's just more depth, which is good for the Brooklyn Nets. And he could possibly get some minutes, maybe on the days that Aldridge needs some rest, maybe some days that Blake needs some rest because they are older. These guys are a few young legs that can occupy some minutes. Not a bad deal for the Brooklyn Nets. And like I mentioned, DeAndre Jordan got released by the Pistons, and he immediately signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. And this trade perplexes me. This move perplexes me because when you look at their center depth, and I'm going to include Anthony Davis here because LeBron and AD apparently in that talk with Russ both discussed that in order for that team to succeed, AD is going to have to play the 5, LeBron's going to have to play the 4. Fair enough. But if we're going to go by, that depth chart then, the Lakers have 4 guys now occupying the center position, and it just got really crowded there after bringing in DeAndre Jordan. They got Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, Marc Gasol, who a lot of people are already forgetting, and now they bring in DeAndre Jordan. I mean, DeAndre Jordan as a backup or a third center, it looks solid, especially on a minimum deal. But why? Just why? I mean, maybe there's something going on with Gasol that we don't know about. Because they did bring in Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan, it leads me to believe that maybe Marc Gasol is either retiring or he's in talks with the Lakers of maybe trying to get bought out or released. And then this is my theory. Maybe going back to Spain. Because last year, in that whole thing with the Toronto Raptors, I think the Raptors were trying to re-sign him. And they were in a battle with the Lakers. And we thought that Mark was just going to leave the Raptors because he was want to play one final season in Spain. That didn't turn out to be the case. He went to the Lakers. Wasn't really a good fit there. And now with the additions of DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard, who 2 capable centers, obviously going to give you some backup minutes. What does that mean for Gasol? I mean, I have a feeling there's something going on behind the scenes. Like I said, maybe it's retirement. Maybe it's just him wanting to go home to Spain. I don't know yet, but they have an unnecessary amount of centers at the moment. And you can, like I said, with Anthony Davis, Howard, and Jordan, it's just a bit much of an excess. So my guess is that something's happening with Gasol. We're going to have to wait and see. Again, this is all speculation. But DeAndre Jordan to the Lakers, if we just look solely at that, not a bad signing. Don't really have to say much. He'll rebound for you. He'll get a block a game if you give him enough time. And he's a lob threat. And LeBron loves his lob threats. Russell Westbrook is known to be throwing some works well with some good lob partners, a la Steven Adams. So I mean, they got players there that could do it with Anthony Davis, Howard, and Jordan. So no matter who you have on the court, you always have that threat for a lob. But yeah, I think more than anything, yes, DeAndre Jordan to the Lakers could be solid for them. But yeah, what does this mean for Gasol? I think that's my biggest question for this. And same thing with the Brooklyn Nets, and we'll talk about the Lakers, is that they're probably going to be like one of the top contenders in the West this upcoming season. But I just continue to look at their team, and I'm just looking like, man, this team's weird. This team is just getting weirder and weirder. We're going to have to see how they play out in the regular season, but, you know, they brought in DeAndre Jordan. They're probably like not even done with the roster moves. Let's see what they're going to be able to do, and let's see what this lineup is going to be able to do come this season. One more topic to discuss before we move on to the Ben Simmons trades. I want to talk about Goran Dragic and kind of this whole thing that's going on with him and the Toronto Raptors. Right now, the Goran Dragic is still a member of the Raptors. You know, he was traded to the Raptors in the Kyle Lowry trade just to help with the salary cap issue. And the thing about Goran Dragic is that he is joining a team, or he was traded to a team that right now is in a rebuilding phase. Some people want to say rebuilding, some people want to say retooling, whatever you want to call it. He's part of a young team, and he doesn't really fit what the Raptors are trying to do. Yes, he's a good player. I still think he can provide good minutes on a playoff team. It could be extremely valuable. But when you have a team like with Scotty Barnes, you're trying to build around Siakam, OG, Anunoby, I said OG, I mean Van Vliet, and all them, he doesn't really fit, especially being in his mid-30s. So the thing about like Goran Dragic is that once he got traded to the Raptors, everyone is thinking, look, he's either going to get bought out or he's going to get traded. There's no way the Raptors are going to keep him in for the whole season. And I am one to tend to agree with that. But people expected this to happen right away, and some people are like, why is he still on the Raptors? He should be kind of like on a playoff team. And a lot of the signs are pointing towards him joining up with his Slovenian teammate and Luka Doncic in Dallas. People are expecting that to happen. People are wondering why it really just hasn't happened yet. And if you look at that fit, Dragic on the Mavs, they already have Jalen Brunson. They got THJ. They got Luka, obviously. He would fit right in. I think as a backcourt depth, he can provide a big role for them in the playoffs. I think he could be a good player for them. But Masai is just not going to release him just like that. And here's why. Goran Dragic, although he's older, yes, he's making a lot of money. We can eat up that money. The Raptors can eat up that money easy. They don't have a lot of guys on big contracts. Actually, they have a couple with Siakam, Van Vliet, OG, if you want to consider that a big contract, and Gary Trent. But they're not contending. They don't mind eating up some of Goran Dragic's money. And with that in mind, I mean, Masai knows that they can, he has value in this league, and the team is willing to trade for him. And honestly, up until trade deadline, I think Masai can just keep him and just wait for the right offer, because at some point they're gonna teams are gonna look at the Raptors saying they have this guy who 2 years ago in the NBA playoffs on the Eastern Conference champion Miami Heat was their leading scorer at 20 points a game. Same thing last year in the playoffs. The Miami Heat didn't play great, but he was still their leading scorer. So he definitely still has value around the league. Can still give you a good 12 to 17 points a game. A team would want that, especially if they're a contender. But Masai knows that he's just not going to release him. He just isn't, because he has been on the other side of this scenario. Remember when Marc Gasol was brought to the Toronto Raptors in exchange for Jonas Valanciunas? Masai looked at the team and was like, look, we are one piece away from being that type of team to go deep into the playoffs. So what did he do? He traded DeLon Wright and Jonas Valanciunas for Marc Gasol to make that final deal. There's going to be some teams, whether it's the Dallas Mavericks, whether it's whatever type of contending team, maybe the Denver Nuggets, maybe the Utah Jazz, who knows. A team's going to want a Goran Dragic type player. And with the Raptors having all the leverage here, being able to trade him or not, teams are going to start to get desperate, especially near the deadline, especially with someone like Dragic on the market. And they're going to give maybe a couple second-round picks, maybe a nice young player along with it. Nothing too crazy. They're not asking for a star, but just some sort of future assets. And I think that the Masai Ujiri understands that, and he is willing to hold on to Goran Dragic. I don't think he should be releasing him, nor I think he will be released. But everyone who's wanted to see that Luka Doncic Goran Dragic connection, they're gonna have to wait, because it's not gonna happen right now. It's just not gonna happen. Dragic, obviously made a bad impression first interview after being traded to the Raptors. He tried to retract that, saying that they are a great franchise and all that. But let's be honest, this guy's future does not belong in Toronto. Like I said, he could be a really good piece for another team. And Masai understands that. He's gonna wait it out. You look to see Goran Dragic maybe in the Raptors uniform to start the season, unless there's a good enough trade offer. But he's just one of those guys who, at the deadline, people are going to be looking at him and saying, this guy could be the missing piece we need to finally get to the finals or win a championship. Masai understands that. He's going to wait it out. I think that's a smart play. You're going to have people who want to see him and Luka together. They're going to have to wait just a little bit longer. But yeah, those are some NBA news that's going on around the league. Let's move on to the big chunk of this podcast, which is the Ben Simmons trade proposals I have here. I went back to the trade machine. I am not a big fan of the trade machine, but I went there. I developed some good trades here, 5, including one which I included in my TikTok, which I'm gonna briefly talk about. But if you want to see my full explanation, go check out my TikTok at TV on Basketball. We're gonna be going through each of these trades and not really talking about the likelihood of them. We will talk about that actually a little bit, but would I do it if I was the 76ers or not? Would I do it if I was the other team or not? That's going to be the big thing here. Because right now, Ben Simmons looks like it is all but certain that he's going to be out of Philly. He requested a trade, said he wasn't even going to attend training camp, which could possibly cost him $1.5 million. But Ben Simmons requested trade. He is looking to be out of Philly. Obviously, that whole situation at the end of the second round, his confidence was shot. The entire team was calling him out. He didn't like that 100%, and yeah, for sure, he wants to get traded. Rich Paul came out saying he wants Ben Simmons to be traded as well, along even with his client Tyrese Maxey, which a weird wrench in this weird situation, but Tyrese Maxey wants to stay. I'm not going to include him in any trades here because I do think that the 76ers will want to keep Maxey. But we're going to be looking at 5 teams, especially looking at the type of trade package they could give to Ben Simmons because, some of these packages are going to be kind of low, mostly because of his value right now and kind of the leverage that the 76ers have. It's going to be some fun trades that I have here. And the thing about this Ben Simmons trade, before we go into these actual trade proposals, 76ers, you're going to have to calm down with your request because right now, Ben Simmons' trade value is at an all-time low. He's the one who requested trade, so now you don't have the leverage in that situation. You're just going to have to settle. You're not going to get the James Harden package with 5 first-round picks and maybe a star and stuff like that. You can't expect that. You're going to have to lower down their expectations. I mean, you're still going to get some damn good players because Ben Simmons is an all-star level player, potential all-NBA level player. But you're going to have to lower down your expectations. You're not going to get the James Harden deal, that Anthony Davis deal. You're just not. But, you could still get some good deals out there, and you could still be a good team in the East if you, if you pull off some one of these trades, if you pull off the right trade. But let's get right into it. The first team I do want to discuss that could possibly have a trade proposal for the 76ers is the Golden State Warriors. Now, Klay Thompson's coming back from injury. Can't wait to see him back. Steph Curry's there. Draymond's there. It's going to be a weird fit, especially if Simmons does play alongside Draymond. I think that's going to be an odd fit. But that team's going to be nasty defensively. They're going to be able to run and gun, be able to run the court. It'll be fun. So here's a trade proposal I have for the 76ers if I'm the Warriors. Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, and 3 first-round picks. That's the deal I have for the 76ers. If I'm the 76ers, I'm looking at the trade and going, I mean, 3 first-round picks, cool assets. Moses Moody, cool young player. Andrew Wiggins could help the team for sure. But for Ben Simmons, I know his trade value is low, but none of these guys, I think this is going to really significantly drop 76ers chances of making to the finals again. Wiggins is a solid player. Moody is a solid young piece. You get 3 first-round picks. Maybe you could flip them and actually get yourselves another point guard. But Wiggins, I mean, he's going to help on the defensive end, but it's not really going to help out the playmaking aspect, the scoring aspect that Ben Simmons still gave last year, averaging 16 points a game. Maybe he'll give you that, but it's still not going to be, it's not really going to help out the 76ers that much in terms of their title contention. I mean, obviously the picks are going to be nice. They probably could flip those picks for a starting point guard or something. But this trade, if I'm the 76ers, not a huge fan of it. For the Warriors, I would still kind of be iffy just because of the fit. But I do think Simmons on the Warriors is one of the ideal scenarios. I think that could be really good for them. Who says no? I think in this trade, it's definitely going to be the 76ers. The Warriors would probably say yes, but they would be hesitant. But Wiggins, Moody, 3 first-round picks for Ben Simmons could be a possible deal in the works. I mean, apparently the Warriors are not really even in talks in general. But because they're not going to give away any of their top assets. But the 76ers, it's an okay trade. I wouldn't take that one, though, 100%. A trade that I'll be a lot more interested in is the Sacramento Kings trade I have here. Ben Simmons and Shake Milton to the Sacramento Kings in exchange for Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley, Davion Mitchell, and 3 first-round picks. If I'm the 76ers, this trade is good with the aspect of getting Buddy Hield, someone who can either come off the bench or be in the starting lineup and just be an absolute flamethrower from 3. A very good 3-point shooter. Bring on Davion Mitchell, who played absolutely fantastic in the Summer League. Maybe he could go into your starting point guard position because he is one of those older rookies. He maybe is more apt to playing that starting point guard role. And you have a potential, I wouldn't say maybe star, but a potential piece going forward, and Marvin Bagley, who has not had the best time in the Sacramento Kings in terms of injuries and just role in general. But you have three pieces there that could automatically, like, I won't say improve your team, but they can impact your team. Plus, you get three first rounders. Maybe it might be 2 first rounders if they're giving away that many players. But having those three guys in exchange for Simmons and Shake, I think the Philadelphia 76ers should highly consider it. The Kings, on the other hand, I'm not sure, because I was already confused with the Davion Mitchell pick because they already had Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox. But Davion Mitchell is probably going to be like one of the biggest like talking points in this trade, especially being a young player along with Bagley and Hield. I think the Kings would be hesitant, kind of like the Warriors, but I think they'll do it because they want to get that like next star piece. Maybe put him at the small forward or power forward position. They would do that with Ben Simmons, and I think that would really help them out. And if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, none of these guys are stars, but they're all could be players that can help out the team. And Buddy Hield, like I said, could be a key piece to them going further into the playoffs. Bagley, if he's able to stay healthy, maybe he can give you some good minutes either in the starting lineup or coming off the bench. And Davion Mitchell looks like to be a promising young player that they could maybe use down the line. So, not a horrible trade. Not going to like make up for Simmons' impact, especially on the defensive end. But they got a bit more depth. I wouldn't hate this trade if I'm the 76ers. If you do want to get that star player back in return, though, or like star level type player, they might have to call up the Toronto Raptors. And although I'm not a huge fan of this trade, I wouldn't be mad if Masai pulled it off. I don't know. I'm very iffy on this trade. And this trade would be Pascal Siakam, and 2 first-round picks going to the Philadelphia 76ers in exchange for Ben Simmons. Now, for the Raptors, bringing in Ben Simmons, he has a higher ceiling than Pascal Siakam. He already is a multiple-time all-defensive player, one of the best defenders in the league, and this guy can like handle the ball, be a good facilitator, and all that. For the 76ers, bringing in Pascal Siakam would probably mean moving Tobias Harris to the 3 position. And Siakam could give them pretty good defense. He's a solid defender. It's going to be a 20-point-per-game scorer, 6-7 rebounds a game. And he'll play hard on both ends. He has a decent 3-point shot and stuff like that. He may not have the same impact as Ben Simmons, especially in the regular season. But him putting aside Joel Embiid, they have a previous relationship because they are both from Cameroon. They have past relationship like outside of the NBA. It's not a bad trade for them. For Ben Simmons, obviously it's not kind of the package the 76ers would want because their expectations for what they can get for Simmons is like all the way up here. But Siakam, I think this is something if they just want to get like a good player back so they won't like miss a step that much. Bringing in Siakam for them would be a good pickup. But if I'm the Toronto Raptors, I would be hesitant. If the Raptors were to make a trade for Ben Simmons, I would do it more along the lines of like OG, maybe include Gary Trent, and maybe a couple first-round picks, maybe throw in like a Kem Birch, like a Chris Boucher or something if you really have to, but I don't know. I think that's I don't know about giving up on Siakam already. I am still very high on him. I want him to be on the Raptors for a long time. But Ben Simmons does have a higher ceiling. I still am one of those people who still believe in him, that he's able to become a future top 20 NBA player. But if I'm the Raptors, I think you're giving maybe a little bit too much, especially because you want to build a playoff level team. You're going to need some star talent, and Siakam is probably your best player on your team right now. He's probably the one with the highest upside on your team right now. Maybe trade some other guys. I wouldn't do it with Siakam, though. But I think this is a trade that if the 76ers wanted to trade with the Raptors, this would be something that they would definitely be at least the most interested in. I'm not sure if they would still do it, but this would definitely be one that they would be the most interested in a trade package with the Raptors. Next team I want to go to is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And in this trade, I think this trade is actually not bad. I think this trade is actually not bad for the 76ers. Here's the offer. Jaden McDaniels, Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, 2 first-round picks in exchange for Ben Simmons and Shake Milton. I like this trade for the Minnesota Timberwolves because they finally bring in that star level player in Ben Simmons, someone who is going to help out their defense a lot because this team is not known for defense, especially with having Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and D'Lo as your top three guys. No defense going on over there. Ben Simmons is going to change the culture of that. And again, he is a star level player. Maybe that team could be good enough to either make a play-in team or possibly even get into a 6 seed. Who knows? And the 76ers, getting back D'Angelo Russell. I mean, he's had his injury issues in the past, but you get yourself a starting point guard already back in the deal. You get 2 first-round picks. Malik Beasley can either start or come off the bench. He is a near 20-point per game scorer. He could help out a lot there. I think that wouldn't be too bad. Then you also bring in Jaden McDaniels, who is someone with some upside. He's definitely has the length to become a good defender. Last season only averaged 6 points a game, 7 points a game. He can help out. He could definitely help out on the defensive end. He's 6'9". He has a pretty long wingspan. In Jaden McDaniels. Sorry, I'm because I was looking at Jaden, but Jalen. But Jaden McDaniels, still it could be a very good player for them. 6 points a game, 3 rebounds, has potential to be good on the defensive end, especially getting 1 block a game. Out of all the trades right now, when you look at the Raptors trade, I just talked about the Kings trade, the Warriors trade, the Timberwolves trade intrigues me the most. I would be a bit iffy about D'Angelo Russell if I'm Philly just because of his injury past, and he hasn't really gone back to his Brooklyn Nets self yet. But maybe you can do that in Philly. Maybe you can get that out of him in Philly. But the Wolves, you need to make a deal like this to help change the outlook of your team. You haven't the only time you made the playoffs in the last 15, 16 years was when Jimmy Butler was there. You need to have a defensive identity. Ben Simmons is gonna help that a lot. Maybe you wouldn't trade Jaden McDaniels. Maybe you would trade someone else to help that out as well. But I wouldn't mind this trade for either team. If I'm the 76ers, this trade intrigues me the most out of all the ones I've mentioned so far. But that may change because we're gonna go on to the last trade proposal here. We're gonna be talking about the Portland Trail Blazers and what they can offer. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not gonna include Damian Lillard. I do think that he is gonna try and stay there a bit longer. So, obviously, with no Damian Lillard in this trade, this is obviously going to include CJ McCollum. Possibly, I think probably the best player, maybe second best player, talked about in these trade proposals. And in this trade, the Trailblazers will be giving up CJ McCollum, Nas Little, and 2 first-round picks in exchange just for Ben Simmons. For Philly, this is a no-brainer. You do it. That CJ Dame backcourt has had years to figure this out to try and go deep into the playoffs. I mean, they made the conference finals once. They made it once, but that didn't really work out. Last season, they couldn't even get past the first round. You're going to need to help out that defense quite a bit. They're still bottom 5 in the league. They just re-signed Norm Powell so he could slide in perfectly at that 2 position. Bringing in Ben Simmons is ideal for them. Would probably get the okay from Damian Lillard. I think that would probably help out their playoff chances a lot more, having someone like Ben Simmons on their roster. If I'm the Trailblazers, I am doing this trade in a heartbeat. The only thing stopping this trade from happening is the 76ers. CJ McCollum, he can possibly play the 1. He is arguably the best player out of all the guys mentioned here. You can argue for Siakam. You can go either way with that one, between CJ or Siakam. But CJ's going to help them out right away. He's obviously going to average 22, 23 points a game. Maybe a couple assists. He was going to be good for them, especially in late game situations as well. But is that enough for you? Would you rather take a chance on D'Angelo Russell and get some more depth with Malik Beasley and Jaden McDaniels? Would you rather want a forward in Pascal Siakam to be someone you want to add to your team? Would you rather go with the Kings pick? I mean, CJ is the best player, but would you want that and a possible rotation player in Nas Little? There's no even guarantee he's going to make the rotation. Or would you want someone who could potentially be your starting point guard and add depth? That's the question that the 76ers are going to have to ask themselves here. This one, the 76ers should be considering as well. It's just because you do get a star player back in CJ McCollum, someone who can help out your team right away. But it's a tough decision for the 76ers because they definitely get worse defensively here. CJ McCollum's not going to help you on the defensive end. But, you still got players like Matisse Thybulle. You still got Danny Green. Obviously, Joel Embiid. You got some good players there. And CJ McCollum could be that, that bucket getter that you absolutely need on that team, which could be very good for them. So that's something they should definitely look out for. Would you rather that? Would you rather deal a trade? I don't know, but I think CJ, in terms of all these guys on the trade block for them, it's just someone that you'd feel most comfortable with, like coming into your team, like as a fit, going in right away. CJ McCollum is that guy, and I would highly consider this trade if I'm the 76ers because, like I mentioned, you're not gonna get the James Harden deal if you're Philly. You gotta stop expecting 5 first-round picks, 5 pick swaps, and all that. You're gonna have to try and lower down your expectations. And I think these trades are solid. I think you're getting quite a bit back for Ben Simmons still, even with this trade proposal. But you got to make a trade because if he is if you keep this going to training camp, it's just going to create bad vibes around the 76er organization. There's not going to be really much going. There's not going to be some good things going on. You need to make this deal pretty soon, and I think they will. Depends on what team though. If I had to choose between the 5 trades that I put out here, it was either between the Trailblazers or Timberwolves. I know the 76ers want to compete right away. And because there's a lot of question marks around D'Angelo Russell in general, I would be going with the Trailblazers just because you got CJ McCollum, who you for sure know is going to come in. You're going to get some first-round picks, which you can use to flip later on down the line. Maybe you can trade for Ricky Rubio there in Cleveland and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that just getting a star-level player and CJ McCollum is probably the best deal for you. D'Lo, if he can get some back to that level in Brooklyn, could be a good pickup for them as well, but there's just too much question marks on that, and they are really looking to become championship contenders this year. So I would go with the CJ McCollum deal. Let me know down below what you guys think. Do you like any of these trades? Do you not? Which one would you choose to accept if you're the 76ers? Let me know down below here, the Instagram comment section, wherever. But yeah, those are all the Ben Simmons trades. If you want to see a bonus trade proposal I have, which is probably not going to happen most likely, go to my TikTok. It is a deal between Ben Simmons and Bradley Beal. Yeah, I think this is like a near 0% chance of happening, but you're going to have to wait and see. I think it's like a 5%, I wouldn't say 0%, but like a 5% chance of happening. I think it's kind of a tunnel dream. It's around them too. Just check out my TikTok at TV on Basketball. But I think this is where we're going to end today's episode. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Remember to show love on all the podcast channels. Like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit the notification bell as well. And remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for just some great content coming up. Next week, I'm going to be talking about something that's going on in the NBA later this year. The greatest 75 players of all time. They're going to be adding 25 more guys to that list. Hopefully, I'm going to get a guest on next week's episode to kind of discuss who are the 25 guys we would add to that list. That's going to be a fun episode, so be on the lookout for that. 75th anniversary season for the NBA, which is going to be really cool. I'm going to be putting out some content more into TikTok. I'm starting school again this week, so I'm going to have to figure out my schedule for sure, but I'm still excited to talk some basketball. The NBA season's coming up. Sports are just coming back in general. I mean, the NFL is coming back tomorrow, which I'm excited about. But excited to talk some more basketball. Yes, school's going to be kind of stressful, but I'm still going to be able to do this here. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. Thank you guys for all the support. Hope you have a fantastic day. Take it easy, guys. TV signing out.